Globally, the company sells about 5 million cups of coffee each month. On average, that's about 2 cups per second. So how did they do it? We're here at the company's Singapore headquarters today to find out more. This is Edward Tirtanata. He was born an entrepreneur.
I didn't really study much when I was a kid, but whenever there is an opportunity to make money or do businesses, I always get excited and always get passionate about some of these little side gigs that I did when I was a kid, whether it be trading Pokemon card. I think back then it was very popular, and I did a lot of buying and selling, buy low, sell high, right? It's a concept that I learned by doing. It's not about the money, it's about the pleasure of doing it. It is something that really excites me until today.
Edward attended Northeastern University in Boston, where he studied finance and accounting. But things didn't go according to plan.
Growing up in Jakarta, especially coming from an entrepreneurial family, I always get exposed to a lot of things that my father was trying to do. He tried so many different things in his life, and I got inspired from it. During my freshman year in college, I had one fateful call from my mother telling me that your dad is going through some financial difficulty. I think you need to come home quickly and help. And that is why I decided to really expedite all my courses. I was able to squeeze everything in 3 years. And when I'm back in Jakarta, I went straight to entrepreneurship.
Despite witnessing the setbacks faced by his father, Edward forged ahead with his own business ideas.
Before I started Kopi Kenangan, I started this tea chain called Lewis and Carroll. Ironically, I thought, oh, there's a lot of cafe, but most of them only sell coffee. Why don't I start a cafe that is selling tea? But I realized that during my 5th, 6th, and 7th store, the store is nowhere near as profitable. And that's when I realized that the market is already tapped out.
One day in 2017, Edward and his longtime friend James Pernanto were having a conversation in his tea shop when they came to discover a problem.
We realized that a lot of Indonesians cannot purchase $3 to $4 cup of tea or coffee. If every cup of coffee costs you $4 and you consume it for 30 days, that is exactly 1/3 of minimum wage.
Just as flavor profiles can vary across regions, so can the appetite for spending. This can be best explained through something called the Starbucks Tall Latte Index, which compares and maps out the price of a Starbucks Tall Latte in each country across the world. This makes it easy to spot where a Starbucks latte is the most and least expensive in the world. So while a Starbucks latte would cost approximately 2% of the median daily income of the population in the United States, that same latte would cost approximately 1/3 of the median income in Indonesia.
And that is when we realized that instead of being a third-home business model like Starbucks, we want to create a grab-and-go coffee company. Instead of focusing on the sofa or fast Wi-Fi, we want to focus on a good, high-quality cup of coffee. That's how we started Kopi Kenangan together.
Shortly after that chance conversation out of a little tea shop in Jakarta, Kopi Kenangan was born.
We believe that the key recipe of success in branding is to be different, right? And I realized that nobody's using an Indonesian name. I asked James, what is the most memorable memory that you have? Oh, my ex-girlfriend. And that is why our first menu is called Kopi Kenangan Mantan, which directly translates into memory of my ex-girlfriend coffee. And that went really viral. A lot of people were saying, oh, this coffee tastes exactly like my ex-girlfriend. It was sweet in the beginning and bitter at the end. And that really creates that organic virality. We did not invest a single dollar for influencer. They all just post themselves.
Together, they invested $15,000 into opening their first location in Jakarta, Indonesia.
The experience of opening our first store was very hectic. We only raised like $15K for friends, family, and our own money, and we went over budget, unfortunately. Thankfully, the contractor was kind enough to let us pay a bit late. And little did we know that from the first month profit alone, we were able to pay back all of our outstanding, and we were able to make our money back in 3 months.
After successfully opening his first store, Edward and James quickly reinvested their profits into expanding the business. They went on to experiment with how they opened new locations.
For my real estate strategy, I would like to test for scalability. Therefore, I intentionally choose my second outlet to be in proximity to my first outlet. It was only 500 meters away, and to our surprise, there was no cannibalization. We found out that we can open 14 stores on one road and there is no cannibalization at all. And the second thing that we tested is, can we actually compete head-on with a global brand? So that's why I believe that out of like the first 15 store, at least half is next to Starbucks. And we actually took a lot of their market share because obviously the taste is more localized and it's half the price. A lot of people back then actually buy our coffee and sit at the global coffee chain.
In 2019, Kopi Kenangan received its first outside investment of $8 million from venture capital firm Alpha JWC Ventures. 2 years in, Edward had grown the business to 20 locations. By 2019, the business had grown to more than 200 locations. And by 2022, as economies slowly picked up following the COVID pandemic, Edward and his co-founder had nearly quadrupled their store count across Southeast Asia.